right, I'm Heidi Kile. I'm in Nebraska, and I am the website manager and co-chair for their education committee for probably 20 years or so now. Let me see if I can get my screen to, oh, here we go. We've been doing this conference for 32 years. We are all volunteer members of our committee, so we do our day jobs and then spend a lot of time on our conference planning. Up until about 2019 or 2020, we did paper registration. In the old days, we copied all of our handouts. We had big fat notebooks, you know, all that printing costs that we had to do. As we got into the 2019 to 2020 mark, we did do some online registration through our website, but it was and then we uploaded our handouts to the website that people would have to download. We're looking to make things a little bit more streamlined because there was still a lot of back-end work we had to do that took a lot of time. So we teamed up with a planner from another state that ran their nurse practitioner conference, and she had experience with a different program. So we just let her, you know, we used her program that she used and got a lot of innovations and kind of limited some of the on long-term stuff that we had to do that took a lot of time. What we needed from a profile or a platform was online registration with session registration that could handle like up to 3 concurrent sessions at a time, meal tracking for special diets, were they going to eat, were they not going to eat. We wanted to have speaker information, handouts from the speakers. We also have registration for exhibitors, although we don't have a large group of exhibitors. And then the bigger thing was creating a CE certificate. That is what took up a lot of time at the end of the conference that we had to manually do through either developing an Excel spreadsheet or whatever. But I can tell you that I don't even know the amount of hours I've spent doing that part of it. And then in the middle of planning, and this was for a live event because we've always done live events. In the middle of planning, of course, COVID hit and our event for February 2021 was either going to be canceled completely because everything was shut down, or we were going to have to do some sort of live streaming or on-demand option. So that platform we used did allow us to do that. But the problem with that old platform was that they were still unable to generate certificates for us. And we have 2 separate classifications that we have to track for our regular CE and then pharmacology credits. After that conference, I spent a lot of time searching the internet, looking for other programs, other platforms that might help us. And I ultimately found Conference Tracker, which we've used for 2 seasons now. They were able to do everything that the other platform did, but they also could do our CE certificates, adding in a special category for our pharmacy credits, and literally this has changed my life. So once our viewing period is over with, I click some buttons, clean up some logins, and it emails the certificates to everybody in the system, and I'm done. I don't have to add up anything. I don't have to merge data. I don't have to do anything at all. So it was really a good thing for us. I think the first year we used it, I wasn't confident in my ability to run the platform. And so we did in person, that was 2022, I think it was, no, 2023. So we did on demand, but didn't do actual live streaming because I didn't know if the video didn't work well, then we'd be in a big trouble. So, but I was able to actually upload every session within about 20 minutes after the live version. But then this last 2 years we went live and then on demand. This was our logo for this year. We had our convention in Kearney, Nebraska. We have great AV people that we have had for a lot of years that handle microphones, getting the PowerPoint slides up for people, troubleshooting the hotel stuff because, you know, those people that are employed by the hotels aren't at our beck and call. So we have always hired an outside AV person to handle and be at our beck and call in every room that we need. Just to recap, this last year, we had 218 registrations. A little over 100 of them were in person, but the ability for us to go live or on demand, live virtual or on demand, is we're getting double our registrations. People cannot get away from work. Sometimes if you're in private practice, getting out of the office for 2-3 days means you're not getting any income for 2 or 3 days. So they like that ability that they can go back and watch things over a 30-day period and still get their CEs. The first couple years, or well, the first year we did exhibitors, but some of our drug companies and that are not able to upload their pamphlets or their package inserts or any information about their products due to their legal compliance department. So this year we did not do exhibitor package. Plus we only had about 35 vendor space for that. So it didn't really make financial sense for us to do that. If we get to a point where we can get, maybe double the vendors, maybe the exhibitor package makes sense for us. But it was handy. We're talking about adding a virtual kind of session for when we're not actually in the room with the vendors for next year. So we might still end up adding exhibitors back in for next year, just to be able to let them have a Zoom link that the people that are at home watching can get some advice or talk to them about their products or whatever. So through technology, whether it's been Conference Tracker or any other platform, we are able to nearly double our offerings because they can be viewable later. Whereas if you're live and in person without any recordings, you can only see what you saw live. So it's been a good value for our constituents for sure. We also, as we talk about our conference evaluation, service session evaluation, our credentialing body requires us to have every session evaluated by every person. And then we have to relay that information back to them to make sure that, people felt that the session was educational, it was fairly presented, there was no bias, all that kind of stuff. Last year, we did a different, I think we used session evaluation, but we learned quickly that our credentialing body did not like the way that it was reported. So we switched to surveys because it actually gives you a percentage of how people answered the questions. And then we didn't have to do any labor to translate that data back to our credentialing body. So there's different ways that you can do your evaluations. And we found surveys to be much more user-friendly and less time-consuming for us to interpret data. Every time I've had an issue, Garrett or whoever has been my rep has been quick to turn around the answers. I like that if it's their business hours, I typically can get a person on the phone. A lot of my work is done after business hours, so I have to email for questions, and they usually have a solution for me, or we work through a workaround for it. So again, like they discussed in the presentation, I've copied our old registration form into my most current event, saves a lot of time. We imported sessions instead of creating every session, which it's kind of persnickety. You have to have the right, it has to be worded the right way. You can't have duplicate names, like breakfast has to be day 1 breakfast and day 2 breakfast type thing if you're counting meals, etc. Let's see what else. Invoicing is good because there's like exhibitors a lot of times can't do credit card. They need an invoice and they'll send us a check. We don't do check payment for attendees because it gets too complicated to keep track of who's paid and not paid. We're not waiting for the mail anyways. We use coupons a lot for discounted or free conference sessions. And then when we do our CE certificates, it seems easier to use CE reports instead of CE certificates for our information that we need. They're customizable. You can upload your logos, your credentialing stamps, all that kind of stuff. And it lists out every session they attended, how much credit they got, and gives you a running total of the total hours. So very handy for me because I spent, it feels like half my life doing that manually in one way or another. Our next event is in February. I don't know if there's any nurse practitioners on today, but because of the technology, we can draw people from other states. We've had people from Tennessee, which is a little ways from Nebraska. Most of these other states are surrounding, so not surprising that we get some of those. But if you're interested in good quality education and Conference Tracker app, come join us. That's all I have.
Beautiful, Heidi. Thank you so much for that. What a wonderful breakdown of your event and how you've used us over the years. I love to hear how it's evolved for you over the years to just become less and less work. That's absolutely amazing.
Yep, and huge thank you to Heidi Kile for being our user spotlight today. Really appreciate it, telling us about your event and your experience with Conference Tracker. Thank you, everybody, and hope you have a great rest of your day.